Good evening, Queens High School President's Council. Thank you so much for having George and me at your meeting this evening. I'm sorry for not being here in the virtual space with you this evening, but for any questions, George is here to provide you with the answers. So let's get started. I'm here to present to you a great opportunity for your students called the New York City Envirothon. So what is the New York City Envirothon? It is an outdoor, hands-on environmental science competition for teams of 4 to 5 students from any high school in New York City, whether it's public, charter, private, or parochial. Students in grades 9 through 12 can participate as a team. It is free, completely free, no cost to students, teachers, parents, or the schools. We pay for everything for you. If you win as a borough winner, then you get to compete at the state Envirothon. And then if you win the state Envirothon, you actually get to compete at the North American Envirothon, which has teams from all over the United States, as well as teams from Canada. What do teams compete in? Well, teams are going to be tested in 5 subject categories, and they also have to make a group oral presentation in front of a panel of judges. Teams are going to rotate from one subject to another during the event. So the subjects are aquatic ecology, forestry, soils, wildlife, current event, which is a topic that changes every year, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute, and the oral presentation station, which actually is focused on the current event theme. What do the tests actually look like? Well, it's a 5 subject category test that have 25 multiple choice questions for each category. But these multiple choice questions actually require using scientific instruments or equipment or looking at specimen. So some samples of equipment that students might be manipulating to answer the questions are, this is a Biltmore stick used for forestry measurements. These are samples of soils that students might actually have to touch and feel. Students might also be using these instruments to monitor water quality. The one on the left is a hydrometer to measure salinity. There's a pH meter on the right. Some of these instruments might be something that students have to handle to arrive at the answers. And at the wildlife station, it's often skulls and specimen like that from wildlife in New York City that students have to look at to answer the questions. What is the current event in 2023? The theme for this year is adapting to climate change, which is actually really timely. And within that overall theme, there are 4 key topics that students should demonstrate their knowledge of. Factors contributing to climate change in New York, measuring and monitoring climate change and the forecast for New York's future, risks and impacts to natural resources and communities in New York from a changing climate, and New York policies and programs for adapting to changing climate. So these are the topical areas students will have to demonstrate their knowledge. So the oral presentation is actually a lot of fun, and the theme is, again, adapting to a changing climate. But what the teams have to do is they have to solve a hypothetical problem related to adapting to changing climate. It's often a problem that will involve an environmental dispute or some kind of a conflict. And each team member usually represent a particular constituency within that dispute. It might be a mayor, there might be one member representing a real estate development interest, there might be a member who has to represent the environmental community. So it's really a critical thinking and problem-solving skills task. Team members will be presenting their argument in support or in opposition to a particular plan or conflict or solution in an oral presentation. Again, a panel of judges will be there to review the students' presentations. We don't exactly know what the hypothetical problem is yet. The problem and the details will be available in January. So that's coming out very soon, and we'll be sharing that with the teams as soon as possible. And these are some of the photographs from the past events. Students are making a poster. That's another requirement for the oral presentation, to make an argument. So most importantly, when and where is the Envirothon in 2023? The New York City Envirothon is tentatively scheduled to be held on Friday, April 28th in a public park in Manhattan, to be determined. We're still negotiating with the host sponsor, and we haven't confirmed that they can participate in the event, but we should be confirmed in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be a public park that's relatively easy to access by public transport. The event is usually from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., so it's within the normal school day period. The exact date and location will be announced as soon as we have confirmation from the site sponsors. Who can participate? Again, any high school students in grade 9 through 12 from any school in New York City, regardless of whether it's a public, charter, private, or parochial school, can participate. But it's only for teams of 4 to 5 students. So you cannot have an entire class participate in this event. A team has to be selected with 4 or 5 students. A team may add an additional member as an alternate member in case one of the official members become ill on the day of the event or for any reason cannot participate. A team also must have an adult advisor. So again, it's free to participate. It doesn't cost students, teachers, school, or families any money, but a team has to have an advisor who is usually a teacher. And that teacher usually recruits a group of 4 to 5 students, but sometimes a group of students can find a teacher who can serve as a team advisor. So it can go both ways. Team advisor must register the team. It's an online registration form, and the deadline to register this year is February 13th. Team advisor is responsible for obtaining field trip permission from the school administrator and from the parents of participating students. These administrative responsibilities are managed by the team advisor. Team advisor is also responsible for chaperoning the team of students at the event, which is why it's usually a teacher. That teacher also needs to actually cover her or his coverage. So there has to be a substitute teacher to cover that teacher's teaching periods on that day. Who hosts the Envirothons? Well, it's hosted by the New York City Soil and Water Conservation District for the New York City Envirothon, but we partner with a site host. It's usually a New York City Parks Department or a not-for-profit organization that manages the New York City parks. But we've worked with the National Park Service and also the state agencies as well. The State Envirothon is organized and hosted by the New York State Conservation District Employees Association. And the North American Envirothon is organized by the National Conservation Foundation. Now we can open it up to questions, and George is available to answer any questions you have. And you can also email questions to education@soilandwater.nyc. We would really love you to spread the word and ask your kids' teachers to participate in this event. Thank you so much.